The discussion around a fourth turning is a brilliant one. And what a saeculum is, which is essentially an 80-year period, or roughly the lifespan of one human. And the reason that history rhymes is because the descendants of a human, after 3 generations, what that person experienced is all but forgotten. And roughly 80 years. So, for example, I can remember that my grandmother, who died last year, would keep a drawer in her house full of old present wrapping paper. So she would never unwrap a present and throw the paper out. And she experienced World War II and rations. Now, uh, every single present that my child has opened just gets the rubbish is just thrown straight in the bin. Right? They have no concept for what that sense of scarcity meant. That's just one small example. So what's going on here? Well, a politically motivated assassination in front of his own kids on a university campus in the process of free speech and debate. This kind of thing has happened before, right? And the division is rising on both sides. The fear, the angst, the anger is being stoked. And what does this mean? Like, I've already said, is this a world that we want as young fathers, to be scared for our own lives if we say something that someone else disagrees with? Just think about some of the history you might have read around religious purgings, right? People being killed purely for their religious beliefs. And this has happened many, many times over the course of history. Is that a world we want to build? Who's pushing this? And what's really, I think, the most concerning is ironically the lack of empathy. It's like, okay, what is going on here? And the people will be like, you don't even like the word empathy. It's like, yeah, but what does that mean? And have you got any? You're jumping on his grave, happy about it. Like, wow, okay. But what does this all mean? So it's risk, okay? This is extraordinary socially driven risk that is bubbling up in the background that without a doubt will impact assets and investments over the next 5 to 10 years. We, I believe, are right in the middle of the fourth turning. The best time frame I think I've been given is basically the 2008 financial crisis was the start of this like 20-year phase where just a lot of shit's going to break. There will be war. People will die. I hate to say it. Like, that's scary in itself. And what comes out of this will be a new future. Now, what kind of war are we going to experience? Well, every war has adopted different technologies. The German invasion to the west in World War II is very famous. The Blitzkrieg, right? This had never been seen before, and they absolutely just punched it straight into Paris with high-speed tanks and like heavy infantry. Never been done before, and it was very, very, very effective. But what's the equivalent of that now? What if we're in an information war? What if it is social media platforms today? What if it is the ability of government and people with large pockets to influence common discourse and to stir up hate when there actually is no evidence of it? That could be very powerful, right? So what does this mean? Political volatility, a polarized environment, short-term sentiment-driven swings. Certainly in the equity market, like, don't expect to have a nice, like, chilled time if you own some media or you own some defense equities. People are going to be talking about civil war. People are going to be talking about all sorts of different government intervention to help save everyone. Now, the interesting thing is, on like a broad sense, like, nothing really has changed, right? The S&P, the other stock markets, like, relatively flat, right? And Bitcoin, of course, that I follow very closely, looking pumpy, but we'll see how that goes. I would be unsurprised if we see additional money flowing into the political sphere. So specifically conservative fundraising. And like, what is the turning point USA? Let me come on to that into a second. But, for a savvy investor out there, monitor the escalation in domestic unrest. Like, when does this spill into consumer confidence? When does this spill into regulatory uncertainty? Because those things drive behavior, drive human action, drive people's objective value, and prices change and asset classes shift.